So not marble, not the gilded monuments. So when we talk about this particular topic, what is the thing that comes to our mind? Uh, if you talk about not marble, not the gilded monument, it is. Can you tell me that whether it's a sonnet or a ode, or what kind of a name you will give it to it, or is it a elegy?
It's a sonnet.
So
It's a sonnet.
what kind of a sonnet?
The sonnet 55.
So how many sonnet William Shakespeare has written?
That I have to search from Google.
Okay. Uh, Fine, no issue. That is not even, it's something like 156 or 155 sonnet he has written. Um, and this poem is nothing but one of them. And this poem presents a good idea um, the theme of, you can say, worldly grandeur and limitations, right? Worldly grandeur and limitations means called as uh, it tells about uh, the artificial things, right? So it generally focuses, or it focuses the uh, transient nature. When we talk about transient nature, it means called as a transformation of nature of even the most, you could say that, imposing monuments, or most appreciated, or called as the most, uh, you can say that, not you can consider in a general sense. So you could consider that the most imposing monuments, um, important monuments constructed by princes and elites to to make their legacies in history. To make their legacy in history means it is known as a, to indicate that, means uh, how their family history is important. Because if you talk about the Agra, or if you talk about, means some of the other monuments, uh, so Lal Killa or Red Fort, so they bring the history, right? They talk about uh, legacy that the people who have constructed that particular historical monuments, and because of that historical monuments, so their names are written in the history. So, but the poet William Shakespeare indicated that despite their magnificence, magnificence means called as a such kind of a huge contribution, right? These structures are not immune to the immune. Not immune means not giving strength to the uh, surely decay and destruction that that are taken by time and external forces. Like you cannot save these monuments from the natural calamities. You cannot save these monuments for turning dirt, and also means uh, for turning dirt and turning shabby, isn't it? That is what the poet wanted to convey. So William Shakespeare clearly portrays that what through this poem, how time, along with you could say that variety of other agents which are nothing but responsible for degrading, uh, deterioration and degrading, deterioration, corrodes, and diminishing these monuments and also memorials. So in contrast, the poem declares what? The poem declares the enduring power. Enduring power means that called as a long-lasting power of the poet's poem, suggest that what it will outlast, or it will continue till the end of the eroding effects of time. So you could say that what the poem makes a comparison, the poet makes a comparison of his poem with the monuments, with the kind of monuments which are nothing but indicating the legacy. So through the immortalizing capability means something which is always stand of a great poetry. The poet also promises to keep safe the memory of his friend. That's what I am telling here. So uh, we were talking about the topic that is known as a not marble, not the gilded monument. And when we talk about the poet William Shakespeare, who has written, so sometimes we also consider that this poem is nothing but a kind of a memory of his friend until the end of time, which is indicating that he has written the poem um, for his friend, right? And in the memory of him. So that is the reason we can consider also more sonnet, more in lamentation than in sonnet, right? So if you talk about that, this text is taken from one of William Shakespeare's poem, because or William Shakespeare's sonnet, because he has written many of the sonnet, and it is nothing but on the basis of that we can consider it's a sonnet 55. In this particular poem, means the speaker is addressing whom? Addressing a young man. So what do you think that that young man would be? Often you can say that interpreted to be a fair youth, right? So that may be called as a praising his or her beauty, and suggesting that through the power of the poet's poem, right? The young man's memory will be always saved for eternity, right? Eternity, you understand?
Yes, sir, forever and ever and ever.
Forever and ever. So when the poem begins, the poem begins with what means four lines that stated that not marble, not the gilded monuments of princes shall outlive this powerful rhyme. So the speaker begins by saying that what even the most durable material, right? Durable means what? That's something called as a flexible or something which stand for a long days, like marble or the elaborated yeah, or the elaborated monuments erected for princes. Erected for princes means that called as a stand still for princes will not last as long as the timeless poetry being composed. So timeless poetry means the poet wants to convey the message that called as a the poem, which is continues means for the for one period to the another period. So the poet says that poem carries with nothing but a powerful rhyme that refers to the sonnet itself, suggesting that what its impact will continue longer than the physical monuments. Therefore, the poet uses the line that's called as a not marble, not the gilded monument. It means that the marble which are shining the beautiful monuments or the gold-plated monuments which have created by the princess shall outlive this powerful rhyme. So in that case, he pointed about his sonnet and comparing with the kind of a means monuments he talks here. He also stated that, but you shall shine more bright in this content than unswept stone, besmeared with a sluttish time. Now, here you find out that what means the speaker tells the young man that his beauty and importance or significance will be more brightly remembered through the words of the sonnet, right? It means the man might be died, the man's created monuments will be destroyed, but the man's written sonnet or the poem, so that will be stay forever, right? So that will be stay forever more than any physical monument. So the phrase unswept stone, or you talk about besmeared with a time, paints a clear picture of what neglected stone, neglected stain, and marked by the passage of time. So when you say that unswept stone, the meaning of unswept stone is what? That's something called as uh, the monument which I have created but has not been taken care, right? It is also stated that stained means marked, besmeared means called as a stained means marked with what? Dirt, marked with unkempt, with the sluggish time. Sluggish time means for a long period of time that the monument is not taken care, and for which what happened means the monument turns a kind of a dirty layer, or you can say that what means uh, a spot mark is presented onto it. So that shows means they will not also stand in front of the means in front of the poems, right, or in front of the poems that are written by the person. So you could consider that it is a kind of a contrast with the enduring beauty. Enduring beauty means long lasting beauty and purity of the young man's memory that are saved in the poem, which is more important than the means unswept stone besmeared with a slutty style. Overall, if you talk about that, the first stanza indicates or celebrates what the power of poetry to immortalize its subjects. Immortalize its subject means to make the subjects means stand forever, suggesting that even the most magnificent physical monuments will fade away, but the beauty and importance captured in the poetry will continue forever. Did you get the point in the first
Yes, sir.
stanza? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So now if we go to the next stanza stated what? When wasteful war shall statues overturn, and the broils root out the work of machinery, nor Mars his sword, nor war's quick fire shall burn the living record of your memory. So this is the second stanza, and in this second stanza, you would find out again. We find out the means of four lines or quatrain. So Shakespeare continues to in this particular line, Shakespeare continues to emphasize, or you can say describe the enduring nature of his poetry. So enduring nature of his poetry means what? How the poetry means how the poetry go for a long last, right? Compared to musical physical monument, and he points out and he sees the future, right? He envisions a future where even war and conflict cannot destroy the living record of the young man's memory that he has immortalized or he has carried through his poems, right? So he pointed that when wasteful war shall statues overturn and the broils root out the work of machinery. So when wasteful war shall statues overturn and broils root out the work of machinery. So the poet imagines what? A scenario or a situation where war destroys the land, right? And causing what? Destruction to statues and the architectural works which have created by the many means labors or machinery, the work of machinery, despite the kind of a confusion and upheaval of conflict. Upheaval means that called as a flow of conflict. Even these solid structure are not safe from destruction. So he is very clear by stating that what now means wasteful war shall statues overturn and broils root out the work of machinery. So he wants to convey a message that what destroys the kind of things which are created by the famous people, causing destruction to statues. So the statues that can fall and architectural works which are created by the machinery can be, destroyed in a one second. So despite the chaos and upheaval of conflict, even the kind of solid structures are not safe from destruction, right? So, but in the case of the poetry which have been written by the young man will be stayed forever, right? That is why in the second part he pointed that nor mars is a sword nor war's quick fire shall burn the living record of your memory. So if I talk about nor mars he is a sword nor war's quick fire shall burn the living record of your memory. So the poet personifies. So the poet personifies what? The poet personifies war as Mars. War as Mars. So when we
Mars,
talk about Mars, who is Mars? Mars is nothing but
God
Roman,
of War.
yes, Roman god of war, right? Roman god of war. And suggest that not even that power the god carries destroy the beauty of the poem, right? So that
So he says he means or describes his poem so powerful that even the god of war
mm,
cannot means destroy his poem.
it's not a god of war. It should be known as a Roman god of war. Always use that full name, the Roman god of war, and suggest that not even that destructive power of God, right, can destroy it. So that is the reason he represented by the word or phrase called as a Mars is a sword, and war's quick fire, right? So neither the sword nor the fire, right, can erase the memory of the young man preserved or saved in the poet's poem, right? So, and that's why the poet's poem means he pointed that living record. So that refers to the immortalized memory. So you can consider that when we say Mars is a sword, it means Roman god of war. So neither he is a sword nor he is a fire can destroy the poem. So, but it can destroy the monuments which are erected by the famous means famous princess or called as elite or elitist or educated people. So, but you could say that what means the living record referred to the poet's verses. So that refers to the immortalized memory of the young man, which remains not to touch or untouched by the physical destruction that are brought by war. So, in this particular stanza, the poet further reinforces or called as a further means gives nothing but a kind of importance the idea that the poet's words will long last beyond the destruction of time and conflict, making sure that the eternal remembrance of the young man. Eternal means that called as a poem can remember the person forever. So after that, if I go to the third stanza stated what? When wasteful war shall statues overturn. And okay, I think we did this, right? Uh, so when wasteful war shall statues overturn and broils root out the work of machinery, nor march its sword, nor war's quick fire shall burn the living record of your memory. So I think we have already discussed this, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
So after that, so till the judgment that yourself arise. So till the judgment that
Sir,
yours,
sir,
yes.
sir, it means that against death and all oblivious enmity shall you pace for
Okay,
your
against
praise.
it is known as against death and all oblivious enmity, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You must.
Mhm. So what we can say here means if you talk about that next one, which is called as against death and all oblivious enmity. So against is called as against, right? Or contrast. Contrast to the death and oblivious enmity. Oblivious enmity means enmity which is forgetful, right, of everything and so seeks to destroy everything. So enmity means what? The kind of a hostility a person carries with, right? So and it is stated that definitely these enemy who have the kind of a rage of who have the kind of a you know furious or rage, and for which what do? They destroy everything, right? Salute pays forth means what? Salute they will take you to the put forward or called as a move forward, right? Your praise shall still find room, right? So in that case, if you talk about the phrase called as a pace forth, the meaning of pace forth is called as a move forwards. And when we talk about your praise still find room, even in the eyes of all posterity. So when we talk about posterity, which is called as a future generation, so that where this world out to the ending room. So the point in these lines, right, try to means present an idea that what means the eternal nature of the young man's memory, declaring that what it will continue despite the challenges posed by whom, posed by death and the passage of time. So therefore he mentions what? Against death and all oblivious enmity shall you pace forth. your praise shall still find room. So here the poet declares that the young man's memory will, defy. Young man's memory will defy death. Defy death means what? That something called as a can cheat to the death. Even the death cannot erase the, erase the memory of the man. And any attempt to forget or erase, right, which is nothing but called as a oblivious enmity. So here, who is enemy? So oblivious enmity is called as a definitely the kind of an enemy which will destroy everything of yours, your body, your means it will, erase from the universe. So that called as a human being. Even the death is nothing but ultimate enemy of the human being. Therefore, the poet declares that the young man's memory will defy death. So death can take the human's life, but death cannot erase the kind of a poem that the
Right.
man has written. So, and cannot even make him to forget. So, therefore, death is known as a what? Oblivious enmity. So, the poet also said that instead, it will continue to advance or pace forward into the future. So, means death cannot erase or forget the memory of the man, but in that case, means death does what? Death takes the life of the man, but at the same time, his written means poems will move forward into the future. It means after his death, people start reading about him. People will come to know about his poems. So therefore, the poet uses the kind of a phrase that your praise shall still find room. Your praise shall still find room. That suggests there will always be a space for admiration and respect for that young man who has written the poems or the poetry. So, regardless of the kind of difficulties that person may arise or that may face, even in the eyes of all posterity, right, that wear this world out to the ending doom. So, what does the poet point out here? So, William Shakespeare declares that the young man's praise, right, will continue throughout all future generation, right, and it will continue throughout all future generations. So, when we talk about posterity, it indicates about the future generation until the very end of time. Until the very end of time means that's called as until the universe is not going to destroy, right? So that is why we uses the term called as a doomsday, right? Ending doom, right? So the poet stated that despite the world and its inhabitants means people who live there, wearing out, wearing out or coming to an end. So the memory and the praise of the young man will continue and finding a place in the hearts and minds of all those people who live in the world, right? So in a very short line, I can point out that these lines focus what? The timeless nature of the young man's memory, so which takes towards the mortality and also solves with the future generation or give a logic to the future generation and making sure that uh, the person will be remembered and celebrated for all time, right? So again, in the last two lines, which is known as a couplet, couplet. So what do you mean by couplet? Couplet means called as a two lines, right? So here you would find out when you read the poem sonnet, it would be segregated into 8 plus 6, 14, or you can say that three quatrains and two lines, or three quatrains, one couplet, right? So the poet stated in the couplet that what? So till the judgment that yourself arise, you live in this and dwell in lover's eyes. So till the judgment that yourself arise, you live in this and dwell in lover's eyes. So in these closing lines, what happened means in the closing lines, Shakespeare conclude by declaring that what? Declaring the continuous presence of the young man's memory or long-lasting presence of the poetry in the young man's memory, which is saved in the poet's verses, right? So uh, that line considered as a till the judgment that yourself arrives, so live in this and dwell in lover's eye. So the poet suggests that until the day of judgment, when the young man himself rises, his memory lives on within the lines of the sonnet. The phrase yourself arise makes a kind of a resurrection of a spiritual awakening at the final judgment day. Right. So the young man's presence is not only restricted to the written word of the poem, but also resides in the eyes and hearts of lovers, right? Who
All yes.
yeah, who appreciate, who enjoys his memory. The idea implies that the impact and importance of the young man that move beyond his physical existence and also continue to resonate with those who admire him. So, in essence, you can say these lines reaffirm the immortality of the young man's memory, making sure that he remains alive and enjoyed through the, you can say, that enduring power of the poet's poem, right? So that is what you can draw through the poem. Okay, so yeah, any doubt if you have, you can ask.
No, sir.
Okay. So coming to the some of the, you can say that poetic device. So what are the poetic devices that you find out in this poem? So you find out this poem consists of many poetical device. We can consider that the poetic device called as allusion, allusion, allusion. Do you understand the meaning of allusion?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
Sir, when we include like some historical names, like here we see Mars. So those are our allusion, like some historical gods or some mythical animals, names, gods. That's what allusion.
What else?
What else?
Means,
Anything else also there?
yeah,
Means any other poetic devices?
not many any other poetic devices. Uh, can you give some more information about allusion? Like if you talk about allusion, so in a single word, can we say that uh, it is something called as a symbol or reference? Like you can talk about Mars, Mars. So Mars is what? The god of war, or the Roman god of war, and judgment, the day of judgment. So these are the kind of words you can consider as the allusion. So allusion generally refer to what? Means referring to the kind of means kind of a poetic devices which point to the uh, some 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 symbol, right? Some symbolism, you can say, like reference to Mars, the god of war and judgment, the god of the Roman god of war, and the judgment, which is known as the day of judgment. We also talk about alliteration. Do you find out alliteration is there?
Yes, sir. Alliteration, yes, is there.
Yeah, so you can point out the alliteration is called as a when wasteful wars, when
Yes, sir.
wasteful wars. So you would find out W sound repeated many a time. You also find out another is called as a shall shine. Shall shine is sure sound repeated many a time. Even you also find out personification. So if you talk about personification, that refers to how time has been called a slot.
Slatish.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
SLUT, slot. Time has been called a slot, and therefore it is known as a person. Do you understand the meaning of slut? It's a slang word, right? So
Yes.
this poetry has been personified when calling living record. Like this poetry, it refers to living record. So that's even called as a personification. You also take it repetition like shall and nor repeated to create a musical effect, isn't it? So that is again called as another part of it, shall or not. Then you would also find out epithet license. Do you understand the meaning called epithet license?
Epithet, epithet. Sir, is it like here he has uses that against instead?
Yes, yes.
against.
So you can say that epithet license is the kind of a poetic device that generally use means adjective into adjectival phrase used to describe a distinctive or unique quality of a person or thing. Like you can find out instead of saying slot, the poet used the term called as a slatis, right? So to describe time. Similar to that, besmeared describe statue. Wasteful, describe wars. Why did the poet use sluttish, besmeared, and wasteful? Now, to make the stanza perfect, or to make the rhyming of that poem perfect, right? Even the poet has also used imagery. Imagery is called as a visual imagery, right? So, visual imagery, it is used as unswept stone, so you can see that how the stone is not been cleaned, right? Besmeared with the sluggish time. So as the reader can imagine, statues which becomes destroyed with the passage of time, and when wasteful war shall, you can say that shall statues overturn and also broils root out the work of machinery. As the reader can imagine, the destruction that are caused by means you can say wars, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So these are the couple of things that you would find out if you talk about it or more into it. So what we can draw uh, in a very short, I could say that the poetic devices like personification, alliteration, assonance, epithet license. So these are the things have been used, right? When we talk about personification, we talk about Nor Mars his sword personified war by giving it human qualities, specifically associating it with the god, Roman god of war or Mars. So similar to that, when we talk about imagery, we understood it tells about statues overturned, work of masonry. So these are the things create a clear images of destruction caused by war, right? So when we talk about metaphor, so we can understand the living record of your memory. So that metaphorically compares what the young man's memory to a living record, and that emphasizing its long lasting nature. So these are nothing but the poetic devices. So quickly let's move to the what we understood from the poem. So we understand that the theme of the poem is what mortality versus immortality. So the poem presents what two things, mortality versus immortality. So the sonnet makes a kind of a contrast the transient nature of physical monuments, and transient means called as that going beyond the nature of physical monuments, and the long lasting legacy that have saved through poetry, highlighting the theme of mortality versus immortality. So one side the poet stated that how mortality is found in a where monuments, whereas the immortality you would find out in the poetry when we talk about time. So then second one is called as a time. So the poem explores the passage of time and also indicates its effect on worldly possession and human memory. So time is very important because it is stated about on the basis of the time, everything turns down. The only thing that stands long last is called as a means the art and the art and the writing of the person. So that line that lasts long, right? Then the third one is called as a love and remembrance. So we could say that the sonnet celebrates the power of love, and the poetry too, means immortalize the beloved's memory. Like means you love somebody and you have written certain things for her, so that lasts with her, right? And that goes with the limitations of time and physical decay. So maybe things destroyed, but means that writing will not. So all total, if I talk about uh, the main idea of the poem is what? It is the contrast between the permanence and impermanence, impermanence of physical monument and the lasting legacy of poetry. So William Shakespeare emphasizes the superiority of poetry in, you can say that, immortalizing human memory, and celebrates the long last power to love and power of love and remembrance, right? So you can say that he declares that even the most magnificent monument that stood by a princess will eventually destroyed to the destroy means destroyed to the passage of time and war. However, the poet's poetry represented this powerful rhyme will long last physical structure and preserve the memory of the young man uh, for 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 doomsday. Right. That is what the poet stated, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. Yeah, any doubts, any question? Yeah, we get some you can ask me any question if you have. Or shall I
Yes,
give you
I
some
have.
question?
Yes, sir. That's what I want. Please complete the quota. Okay.
The rich and powerful got ornate monuments made in order to. I think this is uh given in your book, no?
Let me check. I have been given that describe how the monuments and statues brave the ravages of time and validate the poet's reference to time as being sluggish. Elaborate on the reason why wars have been described as was tepid. Okay. The poet says that neither forces of nature nor wars can destroy his poetry. In fact, even godly powers of Mars are not going to have a devastating effect on his rhyme. What quality of the poet is revealed through these lines?
Okay, fine. I'll give you some questions, so please prepare for that. Uh, let's say that how does the poet say the young man's memory will last longer than statues and monument?
Sir, how come he said that?
How does the poet say that the young man's memory will last longer than statues and monument?
Because sir, the statues and monuments, which with the which the time, the sluggish time will affect these statues and gilded monuments, and they will they will be destroyed by time with along with wars, etc. Whereas poem, not being a physical thing, will never be destroyed and will last forever. That's why.
Okay, so we can make it in a very simple by saying that what the poet says that while statues and monuments can be destroyed, the powerful words of the poet will keep the memory of the young man alive forever. This is the line. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Second question. What does it mean when the poet says the young man's memory will live on and dwell in lower sides. What does it mean when the poet says the young man's memory will live on and dwell in lower sides?
Um, Sir, even if the means the person, the beloved person of the poet, and even if the poet dies, the poem, the future generations, or what we can say as posterity, will keep reading this poem, and the praises for the and the memories of his beloved will keep alive as more and more people will read the poem.
Yes, it is correct. So you can say that it means that even after the young man is gone, people will still remember and love him. Why? And because of his writing, because of the poet's words, right? Because of the poet's words. Very good. Okay, coming to the third question. How does the poet describe what war does to statues and monuments? So, how does the poet describe what war does to statues and to monuments?
Sir, in his poem, the poet stated that wasteful wars overturn the statues and broils root out the work of masonry. Here, the poet says that how means the beautiful monuments are like destroyed by wars, or we can say quick fires of the wars. So that's how he says that how the monuments are affected um, by the wars because they're destroyed.
Yeah, the poet says that no, war can knock down statues and destroy buildings made of stone. Yeah, it is correct. Okay, coming to the next question. What does the poet think will happen to the young man's memory even if there is a big war?
So even if there is a big war, as the war affects the physical things like buildings and monuments, etc., the poem can never be destroyed by all these wars. So the poem, along with the memories of his beloved, will live live to eternity.
Yeah, so we can say that the poet believes that even there is a war, the memory of the young man will stay safe because of the poet's word, right? So, or you can say the young man, you can say the memory of the young man. So will stay safe means because of the poet's word. Because here you are giving importance to the what means the writing, so or the poetry that that keeps the memory of whom that keeps the memory of the young man, right? Okay. Why does the poet talk about war like it's a person? Why does the poet talk about war like it's a person? Why does the poet talk about war like it's a person?
Sir, this I am not getting the actual answer, so I don't want to answer this.
So, what is the question? Why does the poet talk about war like it's a person? So, the poet wants to show how strong and destructive war can be, right? So, the poet wants to show how strong and destructive war can be. So, he talks about it like it's a powerful person, right? Because the strong and destructive war can destroy the erected monuments and the strong statues. So, therefore, it has been metaphorically compared that what war is nothing but a powerful person, and making it easier to understand that war can destroy everything, but war cannot destroy the poem, right? So therefore, means the poet has used war as a person, or war metaphorically a person, right? So you simply need to write that what the poet wants to show a strong and destructive means attribute carries by the war, right? Strong and destructive attribute. Attribute means quality, right? Okay. Coming to some more question. Why does the poet compare the young man's memory to marble and gilded monuments?
Sir, he compared the man's memory with the marbles and gilded monuments so that he can show or display a contrast between both of these things, where these monuments are physical things, so they can be destroyed by time and physical factors like wars, etc. Whereas the memory of the person will stay forever.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, you can say that. Or we can also say in this manner, the poet wants to show that even though marble and monuments can be grand means can be huge and impressive. So, but they won't last as long as the memory of the young man. So, and the memory of the man can be saved through poetry, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So that's why poetry can be stayed long last. Okay. This becomes the last question. So, what does the poet think will happen to the young man's memory over time?
Over time. Sir, the poet thinks that the young man's memory will stay forever over time because of his powerful poem. As more and more people read it, they will
Uh,
know about the yeah, it's another person, and they will keep
Wow.
praising.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. So we can say that the poet believes that even as time goes on, things change. The memory of the young man will still be important and remembered because of the poet's word, which lasts for a long time. Okay. So fine, that's all for the day. We'll meet in the next class, right? Uh, I hope you understood everything.
Yes, sir.
That's all for the day.
Yes, sir.
I'll send you some